For January the 8th of 2021, we talk about Maneater, Rust, and we ask you about gaming bummers. Welcome to level 355. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games back again in the new year. Mm-hmm. And I would like to start with an apology because we alluded to and maybe even promised last episode that we would have the title of the year poll up, and then I forgot to put the results together. And then I went and did holiday vacation stuff. So
my New Year's resolution is to stop apologizing, so I'm going to have to belay that.
Okay. No, that's fine. That is that is on me. Just letting people know, no, you didn't miss anything. I just made a whoopsie. So Dennis,
and my New Year's resolution was to stop Kole from apologizing. So I'm also going to have to belay that.
That's going to be hard.
Oh yeah, that's going to be real hard. But Dennis, if you look at the title of the year spreadsheet, I have put in both the candidates for Toady and the A Toady candidates.
Sweet.
In new tabs. Other than that, though, it is super good to be back, slowly shaking the dust off, because since you last heard from me, I've just stayed very still and gotten incredibly dusty.
How did Dottie and Greta feel about that? Are you covered in claw marks?
They mostly just crawled all over me, as though they do that anyway. Even when I move, I'm basically furniture. But yeah. So I mean, no sense of waiting here. Dennis, how you doing? How are things continuing? Has Barrett got a job yet?
No, we're working on it. I was going to say, in the theme of being furniture, that's been my role over the past past couple weeks, and I've loved it. Like, it's baby snuggles are the best, especially in that first couple weeks where Jen and I joked that they nuggetize. They kind of just turn into this little ball, and that's been a lot of fun. I've taken way more naps holding Barrett, and that's great. I actually earlier today. I think Jen was like playing Paper Mario with the boys or something, which is, spoilers for what I'm going to be talking about this week. And so I snuck upstairs holding Barrett, popped back in our reclining chair, and then woke up 2 hours later. That was wonderful. Like,
nice.
It was dinner time. I'm like, I don't need food that bad.
No, it's okay.
This.
Yeah.
Dad mode engaged, sleeping in the recliner. Yeah.
Oh man, not even realizing you fell asleep.
Oh yeah, that was wonderful. But between that and then I'm also, even as we record, I'm basking in the glow of a sun lamp that I got for Christmas.
Nice.
It's one of my presents, since them winter darkness sads can get anyone.
No, I
honestly
right
think I honestly think it makes a difference. I've been going on it for since Christmas essentially, and it's been really nice.
Nice.
So I've got. Go ahead.
What is the idea for that? Is it like vitamin D, or?
I don't know if you're actually getting vitamin D from it, but in a time where you're not really out in the sun or outside much, this is just a way to kind of give your body those positive effects.
Yeah, just the idea being that the overall reduction in light, there's something about the eye seeing light from certain frequencies that match the sun. The high temperature blue light that. When you see that, you create more good chemicals inside of you, and when you don't see it, you don't get those good chemicals, and you feel like shit. That's my understanding.
So it is something though that you have to actually see.
Yeah, you've got to keep it in your field of view. Is the thing. So like mine, it's almost like the size of like a Game Boy, or maybe like if you stack two Game Boys side by side.
Mine is like the size of what the next generation of iPads is going to be. It's pretty hefty.
Gotcha. Okay, you have a big one. Yeah, mine's just a little desktop jobber, but it's not like a battery one or anything. I got it when I had less money. Maybe I was sad because I had less money. No, I'm sad because I'm diagnosed with depression, and it gets worse in wintertime. I know why I'm sad. No, but yeah, just keep it like almost behind my monitor, but off to the side of it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, video gaming on a monitor is a wonderful time to get that in, which is nice. Although I've wondered, like, it's kind of off to the left of my monitor, and I'm like, is this one of those things where, like, if you only work out your right bicep, you're going to get jacked on one side? Do I need to, like, swap it to the other side?
Are you worried that your like left eye will be happier than your right eye?
I think that's the potential here.
Gotcha.
I mean,
where, I smile only out of the left side of my mouth.
I mean, it does. Wouldn't they do UV radiation? So wouldn't that be potentially a thing? Like,
no, it's not the kind of UV radiation that will affect your skin. It's
what
literally
I'm realizing with these questions
dangerous.
is I was way more accepting of this lamp than I should have been. This is the thing that'll make you happy. All right, cool. And
yeah,
cool. Like, oh, you gonna damage your eyes? Like, you gonna get cancer? What's going on physiologically there? And it's like, I don't know. I got a light on. It's nice.
Don't worry, we're all that way. Just for some people, it's chemicals. For some people, it's lamps.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, so between the lamp and the baby snuggles, I'm, in the newborn parenting schedule, it's weird to say, but I feel like I'm more tired but less blah. If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. There's satisfying tired and there's fatigued tired.
Existential dread tired.
Yeah.
Well, it's a type of tired that comes from having a completely unpredictable sleep schedule, not the type of tired that comes from not getting enough sleep.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. So it's a weird, wonderful time in the Furia household.
Very cool. Plus, you got that new baby smell.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just sniff the head, right? Especially right after they come out of the bath. There's a little bit of soapiness to it. Like,
it's the stuff of life.
Speaking of chemicals,
Yeah. Let's see here, David. How about you? What's going on?
Well, for one thing, somewhat related to that, a somewhat related PSA for I don't know, network relevant things. I over the weekend, just like at least for me, it's like I get on vacation. I'm good for like 2 or 3 days, and then the rest of the time is just like unrelenting existential dread.
Just because you don't have an external pressure like forcing you into structure, or
yeah, exactly, and just kind of nothing to do.
Okay.
So I'm like, I've got nothing to do. I need to figure out something. So you're kind of looking over my, list of things I've been meaning to do. I'm like, I've got, some of the first couple, I don't know what they are, volumes or whatever of Berserk. I've been meaning to start reading that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is a mistake.
How?
Like,
I mean, it doesn't pick up till it gets to the Golden Age arc, but it's a good manga, man.
Berserk is not an effective distraction from existential dread.
Oh, don't worry, Baylits aren't real. Griffith isn't real. He can't hurt you. Oh, hell, you
yeah. So far it's pretty good.
Have you gotten to the flashback yet?
I don't think so. I think I'm in like kind of the first kind of large scale what in like a Dark Souls would be a boss fight.
Yeah. So it opens up with like a very short arc called The Black Swordsman, but then you get a flashback to like him as a kid being recruited into the mercenary bands.
Okay, so I haven't gotten that far yet.
Right. It's like the first. I admit, do you have like the trade paperbacks, like the small little?
Yeah.
Okay, so like that starts like partway through like volume 2 or volume 3, something like that. Yeah.
So.
No, I've been meaning to do a reread of that because a lot of the ones that I read for Bonfireside Chat were fan translations.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got the first 10 volumes, and like I'm doing shuttle runs through it.
I'm probably going to have to at some point switch over to fan translation.
It's a very bad cost to page ratio.
Oh,
actually.
Yeah. Like the entire series, at least. Are they still publishing or
very infrequently?
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I did the math, and if you buy them for Kindle, the entire series so far would be about $400.
Something like that, yeah.
Woo!
Yep. You can occasionally get the individual volumes for less than $10, but yeah, you're still looking at a lot. Yeah, but hey, I don't know. I've been reading some manga too, so that's a perfectly fine way to pass some time.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I've got to say, I really like maybe this is weird, like, excellent art style, excellent design. Although I think my favorite character design is probably Puck, just because I really like the kind of androgynous take on like Faye.
Yeah. And Puck kind of is whatever size and level of detail is necessary for the scene, which is good. Yeah. No, I need to get off my ass. I'm currently working my way. I recently read the new Junji Ito, Rumina. I didn't care for it that much, but I'm also working my way through. I've got these big omnibus collections of the Drifting Classroom, which is good.
Okay, what's the Drifting Classroom? I'm not familiar with
It's kind of like the premise is kind of like Corpse Party. Like a bunch of kids go to class, and then their school building is like ripped from our universe and sent to like an eldritch hell world. And like it's about the people inside trying to figure out.
That statement matches 90% of mangas. Come on.
It's about like the people the kids inside and the teachers trying to figure out how to survive in there, and then the people outside like trying to piece together why the school is gone and why they haven't seen anybody from there. It's like a big. It's neat. It's a very good horror manga.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, I bought a sewing machine, so hopefully I should have a new sewing machine this week.
Oh,
so
cool.
That is literally the entirety of what's happening in my life.
Not bad. Do you have like a project in mind for sewing machine, or is it stuff in line with like making and mending your martial arts clothes?
I'm taking lessons right now, so just slowly working towards like learning tailoring.
Yeah.
So like I'm almost done with a pair of pants, and probably next I'm going to do either like a basic shirt or a basic jacket.
Nice. Man, I back when masks were in really short supply, I hand sewed a couple because like because you could get bolts of cloth just fine, but elastic and stuff was not really in supply, and I hand sewed it because I don't have a sewing machine, and I don't want to use my mom's sewing machine because it's delicate. I would feel terrible if I broke it. She's had it forever. And boy, that gave me a lot of appreciation for how complicated sewing is.
Yeah, it's really interesting if you get into some of the like historical stuff. There's a lot of interesting historical things that a lot of them revolve around either like how can we make this super, super simple, or how can we like not waste cloth?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think like most Japanese like kimono pants, you only need rectangles to make them.
Oh, huh.
Oh. That's actually I learned on a visit to, I think it was Philadelphia, that Betsy Ross actually, it was her idea to do a 5-point star instead of a 6-point star is what was originally requested on the flag.
Mm-hmm.
But she knew a better pattern for making a 5-point star. And he was like, oh, well, if you know how to do that, then do that. And that's why we have 5-point stars.
Nice. I like a 5-point star.
That is perfect for America. Like our national symbol brought to you by laziness.
By efficiency. That was my Sam the Eagle. I'm working on that.
Ben, how are you doing?
Yeah, I had a similar feeling like after being off for a week, like, oh no, like I need to do something. Like this is getting terrible. I did a lot of cooking over break, which was nice to kind of catch up on that. I made myself like a couple days worth of food for Christmas, so I didn't have to do anything Christmas or the day after. Did a lot of virtual stuff with the family, and that part was nice. In some sad news, my grandma unfortunately passed away over Christmas break.
Oh.
I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, she was 92. So, it's like, while obviously like I would love her to be around, it's like, you can't live forever. But it was quite fitting that she was buried on the last day of 2020 to kind of put away a pretty terrible year.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to see the family. We had like a get together online afterwards, so it was nice to see everyone in the family.
Yeah.
And then I was able to spend a lot of time on something that I'll talk about in the next section.
Cool. Yeah. I don't have too much going on over here. I have been it'll be a week. Yeah, no, it'll be it'll be a week on Thursday if they don't fix it. I got roots again. No, my main sewer drain has not been completely stopped, but slow enough that if I take a shower or wash clothes, or wash dishes, the water backs up out of the base of my toilet. And I have been trying my hardest to get a plumber out here to deal with that problem, and they keep canceling on me. So I have been taking showers and sleeping some nights at my parents' house because my house is constipated. Yeah.
So how does that relate to like the cats? Have the cats just gained free reign of the house, or?
Oh, I spend the days here, which is usually fine. The shortage of the fact that water can't drain, it does not affect the litter box using creatures, which is nice. And I've spent nights away from the house with them, with the kitties around, and that's been okay. Yes.
Have you thought about switching over to the litter box?
What a nightmare! Like it sucks scooping for an 8-pound cat.
So I don't know how I even got in this, but I was reading actually over the break. Like Wikipedia has a very in-depth history of like basically toilets.
Okay.
And like the development of different technologies and stuff like that. And I did not realize the degree to which like figuring out how toilets work was one of the most important advances in like human technology.
Yeah. No, like cities wouldn't be possible without that. Yeah. It's like toilets and air conditioners make cities possible.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
And booze.
And booze, of course. If you're going to be around all these fucking people.
Fun fact I looked up over the Christmas break was one of the creators of Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales. His net worth is only $1 million.
Huh. So, that's why he's always begging me for money.
I am happy to donate to Wikipedia anytime they ask.
Yeah. If it's not
profiting off of it, not doing any advertisements.
Yeah.
Big thumb.
I feel like that's a depressing fact. Like the one person doing good on the internet.
Well, I mean, it's all that he's doing is founding it, administrating it. It's mostly users who are doing the work.
Yeah, that describes basically everyone who makes money on the internet.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, the plumbing woes are all that I'm dealing with right now. It sucks. I tweeted this, but like a house without plumbing is just a big expensive box that might catch on fire and kill you. so it's a weird value proposition. So but we've been in the pre-roll here. It's fine for the pre-roll to be a little bit long because we it's been a while since we talked with each other. But I really want to do just kind of the regular show here that we're going to do with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Ben, you were the one. It was you. You were the one, Ben, who mentioned that you were spending your time doing something that you're going to talk about in the next segment. So I'm going to go to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to get the big one out of the way first. I started playing Rust over Christmas break.
Oh, cool.
Have you guys heard of Rust?
Yeah, first person survival crafting multiplayer. You play it like on servers. You start naked with your ding dong or what's it's hanging out randomized.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And you can set on like a blur filter if you don't want nudity. But yeah, so I'd seen a couple streamers play this. I had some friends from Austin play this for a long time, but I never really took the plunge. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's like you will start a server. I'm going to get into like maybe the culture of this game because it's a very unique and weird experience. But you wipe a server of everything, and you start with like a randomized map. You can craft stuff. You can mine the world for resources from like trees and stones that are around. And you basically, like any other type of crafting game, you can build a bunch of technology out of that, build a bunch of machines out of that. You can build a base, that sort of thing. The part where it gets weird is you eventually upgrade technology to get weapons like guns or rocket launchers and things like that. And at that point, you ask, okay, what do you do with that? And what the meta is in the game is you blow up and rob other people's bases or down other people and interrogate them while they're on the ground about information and then kill them if they don't tell you things. So it kind of points out the dark side of humanity, or the good side of humanity too, when you're actually making your own base. But so it's really bizarre. Basically, different servers will set different rules where they'll do different mods for like how fast you gain resources. So someone will do like 2x, 3x, 10x, something like that. And then they'll also set rules on like how often wipes are, like every 2 weeks or every month, that sort of thing. And they also set rules on how many people can group together, like on a team. So you can do like quads, solos, whatever, anything between, anything over. So I was looking to play a game with one of my buddies back from Cincinnati. I'd seen people stream this like that day, so I thought it would be fun to try. And so I put out on my Discord server like, "Hey, we're going to play this." And we got 2 hits of people who wanted to join up, so we formed like a quad group.
Okay.
The 2 people who joined us, I think one person had like 600 hours in it, and one person had 1,000 hours in it.
Oh no!
And this is where I started getting like some hesitations about it. The person who had 900 hours, very good player, but it felt like I was giving an addict heroin when we were starting this. Like, oh, I haven't played this game in a while. This will be really fun, And so, so we were exploring the world. We started on one server. We built like a small base, at first I built like a crazy base, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. Like that costs too much resources. Anytime you build a base, like every base has an upkeep cost to it, which means like every X hours, you have to pay this many resources based on the size of your base. And based on what it's made up of. Like if your base is wood, you have to pay wood for upkeep. If your base is stone, you have to pay stone, etc. And you can have a mix of any of those. And so even though I was making these nice, like, was it Frank Lloyd Wright type houses, like building around rocks and stuff, and they looked awesome. The guy who'd played for a long time, he's like, I'm going to build a separate base. Like, I
am not going to be tied to this overhead, this yoke that you've put on me.
Yeah, well,
I'm just going to go start a server on my own.
Yeah.
While me and my friend Aaron were like, let's build a spiral staircase. This looks awesome. And so we were like, being all up on that. Or, let's build windows on the top floor. This looks sweet, And like you can go way down the rabbit hole of this. I've like since watched like videos on YouTube of how you can set up base design. There's plenty of tutorials out there of like different base schematics and stuff like that. There's this one thing in the meta that people do called bunkering. So your walls, you can change the material of it. It can be like wood, stone, sheet metal, and there might be one more, but it's like that's kind of the tier of like how hard the wall is, and that determines how much it takes to like break through it. So I think the lowest level is twig, and so like you can just craft sticks and like break through a twig wall, no problem. But like a stone wall, you might have to sit for like 20 minutes crafting and hitting things with a stick before you knock down one wall. But that might not even guarantee that you're in the base, because what people do is this thing called honeycombing, which is you build a bunch of like layers of walls around whatever your wherever your resources are.
Okay.
And there's a specific like cabinet you make in your base called a TC. It's like something container. that's like you want to make the most secure, and that's where you stick your resources that you're paying for the upkeep costs, because as long as that's not broken into, even if people break into your base will still exist. If somebody breaks into your base and then steals all your resources and you can't pay the upkeep cost, your base starts falling apart and it like disintegrates, and then you have no more base. Anyway, so there's like all these designs online that you can do. There's this other thing you can do called like bunkering, which is where your spawn point in a base is a sleeping bag. So you have to like build and lay down a sleeping bag. But there's this thing that people do where it's like they'll build their sleeping bag in this tiny room. It'll have this support wall that's made of twig. It'll have this giant reinforced wall that's sitting on top of the twig wall, so that when you start out inside of it, you can just break through the twig wall, and that'll remove the support for the really heavy one, and that'll just crumble without you having to break it down.
Okay.
So it's easy for you to get out of it, but it's really hard for people to get into it. So there's like all these like really kind of sophisticated designs that you can do within this. That said, okay, we started on this first server. We played for it for a night or two. We decided to go to a different server, one that was like fresh, and then one that supported quad specifically, which was our level. And then we built like a base from there, and we kind of had a smarter base design after that point, after we kind of knew the rules. Mm-hmm. The base building is really interesting. It gets really sophisticated too when you start adding like power elements. Basically, everything in the game kind of has like an underlying like gamification of it that you can get like pretty deeply into if you want. For example, like when you're planting crops to grow food to eat so you don't die, there's like a genealogy with all the plants that you're growing, and you can try and like crossbreed the plants to make ones that are specifically like hardy or specifically like will grow quickly and that type of thing. So there's like an entire mini game there, which I did not pay attention to at all. I would just plant like 50 things and then pick whatever came up. But another thing that goes really deep is the electricity system is really interesting. So
what?
You can build like solar panels, and you can build like windmills and stuff to generate electricity. But the thing is the electricity you're generating needs to go somewhere. So like you have a wiring tool, and you can wire things up in your base. Like you can run wire all throughout your base walls. And they have like batteries that you can put that the electricity can go into and store. But it's like anything that your battery is connected to, it's going to be automatically drained no matter what. So you have to set up these like machines where it's like you can combine electricity with like transformers. There's these like blockers, so you can build these like circuits where you can build these circuits so that like whenever light is shining on your sun panels, that will power your base. And whenever light's turned off, your battery will start doing it, and your battery will be blocked like up until that point. So like to figure this stuff out, again, you have to go to YouTube and watch like a 10-minute video and then think about it for like 20 minutes and be like, oh, okay, I guess I get that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the plumbing in Ben's base is better than in Kole's house.
Oh, most assuredly. My plumbing is shit. No pun intended.
And so there's a bunch of different mechanics that you can interact with, like where there's like door switches or floor panel switches and stuff like that you can create like logic with. So like, for example, if somebody like steps on a door switch, and you can toggle whether it's like a friendly or an enemy, you can shut the door behind them and then have a trap shotgun shoot them or something like that. So you can make traps in your base. I set up all the lighting, and I was like happy about that. It took me like a night to do. But yeah, anyway, you can get like super deep on this, and all that stuff's like really interesting, really fun. The part where it gets not so fun is people start robbing your base.
Yeah.
People start blowing up your base and shooting you and stuff like that.
So, I mean, I guess my question, sorry to interrupt if you were getting to this, does somebody from your team have to be on at all times?
Yes, so that's like another thing that makes this game like crack is it's persistent, like it's in real time.
It's like, I mean, like I'll just be like here watching some television or whatever, but I'm gonna have Rust on. Like literally, I will be on watch. Like I will be in the guard tower, and by in the guard tower, I mean in my living room watching King of the Hill with Rust on a laptop. So just listening for disturbances.
Yeah, you could do that. There's systems in the game. I don't know if it feeds to real life or not, but you can set up like pagers and stuff like that, where it's like, so like if a switch gets triggered, then you can have it like text a number. And so like in the island, there's different like phone booths and stuff like that. So you can literally like hook it up to that if you want. But I don't know if this is, I haven't looked up if you can do this or not. But what I was thinking is that you can set it up to text your actual phone or something like that. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh, hey, you're being robbed right now, so you can like go in game and like try and do this. But
like, I am so sorry, honey. I know that we're technically supposed to be getting married right now, but
and that was like kind of another part of it too. It's like one of the people we were playing with in the quad like had a family, and like you would hear a conversation. Well, has a family, but you would hear the conversations with like while he was playing Rust, like negotiating the situation, and it's like, oh man, like I don't know if this is a net positive for everyone right now. Yeah, so it was a very weird experience. There's landmarks on the map, so like kind of like one of the things that you're kind of trying to do is like scrap is like the main economy. Different items that you find randomly throughout the world can be turned into scrap. Scrap is how you kind of unlock tech on the workbenches.
Okay.
And there's kind of a weird thing where each person's tech tree is independent of one another. So if one of the people in the quad learns all the technology for weapons, it doesn't really make sense for you to do that anymore. Because you're kind of you're wasting. Like,
yeah, if you need weapons, they can make them. Yeah,
exactly. And so it's kind of weird, though. It would be nicer if everybody in a party kind of learned it together. But everyone kind of specialized. So I was the person who did all the electricity stuff. So I learned all that stuff. Other people learned different things. There's different landmarks on the map, and the map's randomized, but there's different things. There's like a lighthouse or like a airfield and stuff like that.
There's always a lighthouse.
Yeah. And you can get like specialized like loot there. There's usually like better drops there, you know, so you can kind of take missions to like go there and check things out.
Right.
Yeah, it's really a really interesting game. There's some safe zones that you can go to and like gamble and stuff like that.
There's like a teacher's lounge or, you know, a non-combat area.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you on a server with strangers in addition to your quad?
Yeah, and that's one of the things you figure out when you pick a server is like they have a population size, and so that determines how many people can be on the server at once. So I think you could have like 100 people on a 20-person server, but only 20 people can be on at a given time, something like that.
So is there a solo option if you don't want to deal with the psychopaths?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can do solo, but it's solo psychopaths there. So it's like, yeah. So you still will see other psychopaths, but they're not on a team.
Psychopaths,
okay, but you can't do
people.
Like without psychopaths.
Yeah, there's more like from what I can tell, there's more casual lobbies if you do stuff like higher resource, like it like 10x like resource gain or something like that, and like a longer time span. And probably the title of the server will say if it's like more chill and stuff like that. Yeah, from what I can gather, I think there's more like chill servers like that. I know for streamers on Twitch, some people do like specifically RP servers where it's like strictly role playing. So like a lot of bigger streamers were doing this over the past few weeks, like XUC and Ludwig and stuff like that. And they were doing like almost purely like RP servers where it's like they had people build like restaurants and function as restaurants that people could come in and eat at. They had people RP and make like a jury like trial area, and like people would plead cases and stuff, and they would kill like people if they were guilty. There's police station where people are RPing, so like if somebody killed you, you could go report a crime at the police station. They would try and hunt the person down.
They would show up 4 hours later and kill the wrong person.
Yeah, maybe. So there's like some interesting stuff with that too on that end of it. But that stuff, I don't know. I think that stuff's like kind of lightning in a bottle. I don't know if you did a server over and over again.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe some of the patterns would wear thin.
It feels like a streamer would probably be able to kind of attract people for that better too. Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting game. I got into it for like maybe a span of like half a week or so. Mm-hmm. I think the last day I played it, I like played it from like waking until like evening or almost night. Then after that, I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna like give it a break and never play this again.
So the spell broke. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I think I kind of am really apprehensive towards playing games like that, like WoW or something like that, where they're like giant time sinks.
Yeah.
So while the game is very, very fun, I don't want to, pour like weeks into it or anything like that, especially once like work starts back up and you actually have like life stuff that you got to do.
Yeah.
But it is very impressive, like what you can do in the game and like the meta that's in it. But yeah, interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Oh, good.
No, I never realized how intricate it was. I like, when you mentioned like, oh yeah, you're doing plumbing and electricity. It was like,
Yeah.
was the sound I would have made, but you were talking and that would have been weird. It would have interrupted you.
Yeah, I didn't know it went this deep either. I think I knew about the naked parts and I knew about like the bases and fighting and stealing from one another, but
yeah,
there's a lot of other intricacies in it. So yeah. I got one or two other games to talk about in addition. I think I'll just talk about one more. The other game that I've been playing, which was I started playing after Rust, which seemed like a better transition, as I started playing Satisfactory.
Oh shit, yeah.
Kole, I know you played this one. I'm not sure if anyone else has.
Love that game.
Is that the 2-day one or the 3-day one?
It's like 3D Factorio is basically what I've seen of it so far. So I started playing with the same person that I was playing Rust with, one of my friends from Cincinnati, because we were looking for a game to play together. This seems pretty much what I wanted from Rust, where it's like you can do a lot of interesting base building stuff. There's cool crafting, but you don't fight other people, and people don't blow up your factory or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing is really setting you back. There is wildlife, but it's not a constant paranoia kind of thing.
Yeah, they're all cowardly. They all can be shocked with a shock stick, and that's fine. It's not as like challenging as Factorio, like as far as like the wildlife, where they don't like try and actively fuck up your base. You can just kill them and harvest them for resources. So it's very, I don't know, bleak, I guess, if you want to see it that way. But but yeah, the game's a lot of fun. Again, I think the best comparison I can think of is it's like a 3D version of Factorio. Factorio is great, so this is great as well. It's a lot of fun playing as a friend. With a friend, I never played multiplayer Factorio. I know you could do that. But it's a lot of fun, like planning out a base together and being like, oh, we should do this. Or like, I'll take care of like the copper line. You can take care of the iron line. We can do this, and planning things out together. We've hit a point where I think it's there's also a similar progression of this. It's a crafting game. So it's kind of similar to like, it's kind of similar. Parts of it are similar to the base building in Subnautica, but the difference is the buildings that you build can be upgraded themselves, and specifically like there's a main building that you have in the game. It's called like the hub, I think. But there's like a tier system to it, so like you go after milestones, which will basically unlock new things that you can build. So it might be like upgraded conveyor belts, or it might be like a sensor that will like find wildlife or something like that. So you pick milestones to go off of, to go after, and each milestone requires a certain number of like materials to pass it. And the materials might be more complicated. There might be a huge number of them, like 1,000 units or something, when you only produce like 10 a minute or something like that.
Yeah.
The way you go about it is you can manually craft any of the resources that you want. So like there might be like a reinforced plate is like an example, where you have to get a regular plate and you have to get, I think, screws, and I think that's about it. You can manually construct the screws, but then they are made from pipes and metal rods, and those are made from metal ingots, and those are made from metal ore. So if you wanted to, you could manually construct all 4 of those steps. But what makes it easier is if you build a factory to do all this stuff for you. So if you make something that extracts the metal ore, if you make something that smelts that into ingots, and then you make constructors that turn that into metal rods, and so on.
See, a discerning palate can tell the difference from the hand-milled ingots. And
it's the imperfections and the tedium that really make it worth the money.
Yeah. So a lot of the fun is thinking like, instead of like some things you can just hand build. Like if it's like you need like 50 of these things, it's like, okay, I can build this in 30 seconds. I'll just do that this one time. And if we need to do more of it later, then we can set something up more permanent. But the fun part is thinking like, oh, hey, I noticed that we've needed a lot of like nails lately, so why don't we make a line that produces this? And a lot of times what you do is you can feed all the things that you're producing into like a storage system. I think one of the strongest points of this game is the conveyor belt building system.
Yeah.
It's very pretty and very like satisfying, where you can build a conveyor belt to go pretty much anywhere, and it will like automatically curve it for you. You can build it to go vertically if you want.
It's so like you'd say it's satisfactory.
It is very satisfactory.
You really should have chosen your words better, Ben.
I'm trying to think of I forget the name of my word, but it was another Satisfactory pun. But yeah, it's kind of like it feels similar to like building like a roller coaster almost. Like
that's a good way to put it.
And then the other benefit too is with the conveyor belts is one, if you walk on them, you walk faster, so that's nice. And then it can like go over terrain. So like it acts like a staircase where like you might have to go around terrain. If you build a conveyor belt that goes up, then you can just run up it, and it's a lot simpler. So all that's cool. We are I think at the start there's like 2 different tiers that you can build at. Like you have tier 1 or tier 2 like hub. You have to start building this thing called a space elevator to start unlocking the higher tier stuff. And a space elevator is this like ungodly big building. You can see the line up to space like goes all the way up. So it's really a dramatic presentation. But after you start building increments of that, it starts unlocking higher tiers, and then you can do more milestones. Yeah. So I think we've just built the first part of the space elevator. We need to get, I think, 500 reinforced plates or something like that to go to the next part. And so we made a assembler which starts building the reinforced plates automatically instead of doing it by hand. So that's where we're at right now.
Can you ride the space elevator?
You can only jump up like on one of the base sections. You can't do anything too cool with it yet. Maybe you can do cool stuff later, but who knows? The world's also really cool. You have 4 different maps you can choose from, and varying degrees of difficulty. Yeah, there's like a desert world, which is supposed to be harder because there's not as many resources and it's more like hostile. We're on like the easy map, which is this like bright green foresty map that's happy. And yeah, we built there's like a tower you can build, like a surveillance tower. And we built it on the highest rock that was nearby. So it's like a double security tower. It's like really, really high up. And you can see like where the world kind of ends from the distance if you climb up to the top of it. I don't know. It's just like a very pleasant game. The falling damage is pretty minimal, but you can kill yourself if you jump from high enough, which we found out. But even then, you just have a box where your body is of all your stuff. So you can go back and get all your stuff back. Yeah. Tearing down buildings gives you all the resources back without any loss.
Yeah.
So you don't. Yeah, that's huge.
That's super necessary because I mean, there's a fair amount of like trial and error in optimizing your factory. And like, you know, if you're building there are certain places in the map, at least the first one that was the one that was available when I was playing, where like, yeah, this is a bunch of flat area. Like, I don't want to have to like branch out and start building in this more forested kind of place because that'll be a real problem. I'll have to do clearing. So like, you want to be able to like tear down old infrastructure and rebuild more efficient, or you know, just like literally you will get new things to build that will replace old things. The fact that you can just kind of like experiment freely with only like an interface tax being there, I think is actually a huge part of the game, like of like what makes the game successful.
Yeah, and even if like you destroy a conveyor belt that has a bunch of materials on it, inventory, there's like no punishment at all.
Yeah.
The only like fun thing I ran into is like if you set like a blueprint of what you want to make in these like assemblers and constructors. If you set something like that's made out of like copper, but you have metal going into the line, it's kind of like Factorio where it just like stops dead and it doesn't back up. Yeah, so like what you have to do is you have to change the blueprint to something. If the resource is already like halfway in the constructor, you have to change the blueprint to something that can make out of that, and then change it back to copper or something, and let the rest of the line feed through. But it has that kind of fidelity that Factorio has, where like all the resources are kind of accounted for, and like the machines will break if the wrong things are going in. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I'm very happy with it so far.
I love that game. I put like 50 hours into it over the course of like 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Back around the time that I played it. This is like 2 years ago now. So they've definitely added a lot since then. So
I feel like every game is doing this, but they added like a holiday patch for it where there's like a tech tree. There's these like Christmas presents in the world that you can go and just grab and pick up. And like there's a tech tree where if you get enough of the Christmas presents, you unlock these things. You unlock things like candy canes and like tree toppers and stuff like that. The power lines, the power poles that you set down have wreaths on top of them. It's pretty corny, but
that's fine.
That's what they're doing.
Christmas time's corny.
And then the other bottleneck we have right now is power. You have to build like resource burners to power your base, and like you throw grass and like wood in those, and then there's like a tech tree for making like biomass, like condensed biomass that burns more efficiently. And so that's like our bottleneck right now, is like we can barely keep up with the power output, and so we're hoping that when we unlock to the next level, there's like options for improving that. So
can you do any sort of like global warming or terraforming or anything like that?
I don't know about terraforming, but maybe I know like from the trailers of the game, like eventually you can build these like giant ass factories, like on the same scale that you can in Factorio, where it's like you have these huge blueprints and you're optimizing everything, and but I think that's more towards endgame.
Yeah, you'll blot out the sun, but not with smog, just with the
factory.
With factory as you build upward and into the sky. No, like energy eventually becomes like you start getting like geothermal, like you and what you end up doing is you end up going kind of further and further out in the map to find it. And also like you'll get the ability to do like oil burners, and you'll have like oil drills, and then you have like those will output and you will want to put that into onto conveyor belts out to refineries to refine, and then back to the actual plants to burn and stuff like that. Like your infrastructure kind of becomes just like a little bit less like dependent on you feeding it biomass, and becomes more automated, but that requires its own infrastructure to deliver to it, like up to and including like the terrain at a certain point got too much for me to like build the right kind of conveyor belts that I needed. So I built like a fleet of self-driving cars or self-driving trucks, like tankers. No, you go and you set out the waypoints that they need to hit to go and do these deliveries and stuff. Awesome. And like I know that since I played, they added trains and stuff, so you can make it even more automated on those, a little bit more reliable. Yeah, the ceiling of complexity and automation is really high.
Again, it sounds like 3D Factorio, which I'm not trying to rip on it by saying that. I think that's great if that's all it is, because it's
a good game.
Awesome. Yeah,
nice. Is that all you got? Rust and Satisfactory?
That's all I'm going to talk about. Yeah, it's plenty.
Yeah. I'll do mine because I just have one. I've honestly spent most of my gaming time over the holiday has been spent doing like Waffle and Bonfireside chat playing, and also doing some like reading and stuff. But I did today play the first couple hours of a game that just recently became available. Just today, actually, became available on PS Plus for the PlayStation 5. Here it comes. It's Maneater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the PS Plus games for this month, so I'm curious.
It's Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Maneater, and something else that I forget.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the second game from the reboot?
I can't recall. It's the third title. Yeah, it's Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
You said that Maneater came out today?
It came out on PS Plus on PlayStation 5 today.
But I thought it only came out at night.
Okay, all right, yeah. I imagine it came out at midnight Pacific last night.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The third game is Greedfall. I don't know what Greedfall is.
Possibly the most on-the-nose name for any game.
Yeah. So Maneater is the game where you play as a shark. It is the open world game where you play as a shark. That should be all the clarification you need. I don't know what else you want from me. It's kind of like it's weirdly like did anybody play, or is anybody familiar with the PS2 Jaws game?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. It's like Grand Theft Auto, but you're a shark. Again, I don't know what you want from me.
The premise really doesn't need to go much further than that. Like, it's all on the page.
No. So like for the tutorial, you're playing as a full grown shark. You're kind of in this industrial industrial kind of area where you're learning the ropes. There's lots of fish for you to eat. You're full grown, so everything kind of goes down to you. And it finishes off with you attacking a beach full of people, to go eat some folks. And then some shark hunters from like a nature television show, like a trashy like Duck Dynasty Nature Hunter show. They come and you kill the shark hunters, and you take out a bunch of their boats, and then you are captured. And then the actual game starts with you as a baby shark, as a new character. I won't describe what happens. But you are a baby shark out in the bayou. And you have to do quests and grow and eat things and go hunt down unnatural predators who are around where you are in order to evolve new features and get bigger, and then ultimately take revenge on humanity for doing what they do to sharks and fish kind.
So just to be clear, you're a baby shark. Do.
I'm thankful. I've never heard that song. I just know that it is a meme.
Did you never go to summer camp?
What? I've never heard the baby shark. Okay. A baby shark must be older than I thought it was. So like, I'm only aware of it in the, like, as a meme here. Like, recently.
No. Yeah. That was like my parents sang that at summer camp.
Weird. Okay, so I must have heard it. I just don't know it as baby shark, possibly, let's say.
So there's not a lot of other words in the song. Just saying.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a daddy shark and mommy shark.
Baby shark and do. Yeah.
It's actually a really good flow chart. Hold on a second. Keep going. You'll see a baby shark flow chart in a second.
Okay. No, so like, it's really pretty, and like the premise is pretty neat, and like it controls fine. If it sounds like I'm getting up to a big butt, then yeah, I'm getting up to a big butt. I think that there is kind of a
big butts.
Well, if you lied to me, I'd be very angry. No, there's kind of a low ceiling on how much enjoyment you can get out of the spectacle of like going and like chomping on a thing that's smaller than you, and like running headfirst into a thing that is in front of you. Like in the hour and a half that I played, I kind of was like, oh, some of these bigger encounters with like the predators that I'm hunting, they take too many hits. Like there's just too much to it. And even like with the shark hunters and stuff, like taking out their boats, it's like, yeah, I don't actually like, I'm here to feel powerful, but if they made me as unquestionably powerful as I need to be in order to like satisfy that fantasy of like, I'm a shark, suck my dick, I'm a shark, like, then it wouldn't be a game. It would just be like a machine that you press, and then the button, and then the screen shows you some violence.
Yeah, there's actually you might be thinking of, I wanted to say the game was called Go Ape, but I don't think that's it.
No, it's Ape Out. Ape Out's good. Yes. I like Ape Out a lot.
Mm-hmm. So it can be done.
Yeah, but like Ape Out, you're super fragile, and also like the presentation goes a really long way on that. Like, where when you run around and when you attack, it does like a percussion kind of thing. Like Ape Out's almost like, it's a little bit like like Hotline Miami, but with more flow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that is totally a flow chart. I don't know the song, but I could probably reconstruct it based on the flow chart that you have sent over to me.
So when I've watched Let's Plays, this has reminded me a lot, at least it looks like, of like Tokyo Jungle.
I never played Tokyo Jungle.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
So, like my understanding of Tokyo Jungle from like Ben's descriptions of it a long time ago, and from like what little video I've seen, is like that's more of like a big beat 'em up kind of thing. Like you are generally like fighting and going after like large numbers of things, right? There's just Good.
It's like Flow, where it's like you get bigger as you kill other things, and you have to avoid some things.
Yeah, and you do a little bit of that. Like as you eat things and kill things, you get nutrients and stuff. And nutrients are what you use to grow as you level up, but also to like allocate your evolution points. And there's plenty of like farcical stuff to it. Like one of your skills is echolocation, which is not a thing that sharks can do.
Yet.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost, the movies that this cops from have so much camp that it's like you almost have to have a comedic element to it.
Yeah. I mean, and like it's absolutely comedic. And to do that, the voice actor that they have doing like the narrator announcer is Chris Parnell. Let me see here. He was on SNL. Did a lot of voices for like the SNL fake commercials. Voices Cyril on Archer. Voices plays
Dr. Spaceman.
Yeah, Dr. Spaceman, Dr. Spaceman from 30 Rock. If you heard his voice, you would recognize it. And he does like it's genuinely very charming because like. One of the early missions is called Muskie Business, and you have to go and hunt down some invasive muskie. Which is like, huh? Or it's like he doesn't even say, huh? It's like the muskie is a freshwater fish from the Great Lakes. What it's doing here, I don't know, but like it's doing just kind of like that straight-laced delivery of an absurd nature fact. Obviously, they just put a muskie there because they wanted to model that, and also that was kind of a pun to name that mission after. I
also I'm watching video right now, and your base attack or one of your attacks, like you bite something and then spin around and tail whip it back out in front of you. So
yeah, like you can throw enemy enemies of a certain size into other enemies like that.
Yeah, I know like from some of the things I've seen, like your end game is literally you gain like electrical powers.
Oh yeah, no, you become a monstrosity. You become a thing that needs to be killed for the sake of mankind. And you can even see that like you can grow like just like here's a shark with bony plates on the outside. Like no, first off, evolution killed those. Second off, yeah. But like even just like in the core gameplay loop, like eating things that are smaller than you will recover your health, right? Kind of like Flow or anything like that. But like all of that means is you go and you do some attacks on a thing that is like roughly your size or bigger. Maybe it's your target that you're hunting down. It'll get a hold of you, like an alligator will grab onto you and do its like little spinny thing and take you down to like low health. And what you have to do is you have to like swim away from the thing you're hunting, go and eat some smaller things in order to like get your strength back up, and then go back and try and kill the thing that you're doing. There's more.
It's a time penalty more than it is a danger to you.
Yeah, and if you die, you just respawn. There are like little bases that you have. Like little grottos that your shark can swim in. Yeah, so like there's just kind of a tedium built into it. Like I was pretty excited about this game when I saw it announced. I was like, oh, that Jaws game, I remember that being pretty fun. But I think that what I want isn't the Jaws game. What I want is actually the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Which came out around the same time, and I probably played it about the same time. So I don't know how much more I'm going to play it. It is an awfully neat little like demo for the PlayStation 5 HDR and my OLED television, which is cool. Like it looks
good.
It looks really good. Yeah, it looked good to the point where like Greta and Dottie were like pawing at the screen, and I had to like chase them off because cat paws are dirty, and I don't want them touching my screen.
That's good to know though, that if they saw a shark, they would definitely defend you.
Yes.
Hey, back away from my snack.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Maneater. Other questions?
Well, just one other thing I saw about it is and this is, I guess, the weird difficulty of being right in a new generation, is there's a bunch of people who just bought Maneater for PlayStation 5. Like you got a free upgrade if you had it on PlayStation 4, but if you didn't have it before, like most people anyone who had this before PlayStation Plus just paid for it. And they are refunding people.
Are they?
We are, I guess, have officially breached the video game reward zone. That started with Cyberpunk, now with Maneater. I'm not going to mind this just being a thing.
No, I mean, what do you mean by video game reward zone? It just where like
video game refund zone.
Yes, I mean that seems like a natural consequence of adding a high profile title like that to the to their service like that. That just makes sense. I think that's a good move on their part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had an okay time with my first hour and a half of it. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed. I expected being a shark would be a little bit less tedious. But like, writing's fun. It looks pretty. It might be for somebody, but it is not for me.
Yeah, nice game to get through PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, it's a good use case for PlayStation Plus, let's say. Yeah. Other than that, no. Though I've really just been reading books. I got it with some of my Christmas money. I got a big set. They made and by they I mean a particular tabletop game developer made a King in Yellow RPG. That is real cool. Ooh. So I've been reading that. It's neat. There's like that, oh, good.
How does that, like, is it kind of like a generic like Lovecraft setting, or
I mean it's more like informed like by the broader like Robert W. Chambers, those particular short stories, and then also like the Hastur mythos. Like, the idea is that through various forces and the agents of Hastur and the King in Yellow, Carcosa is invading on our reality, and like it's 4 different campaigns, 5 total. One of which takes place like in Carcosa, but like that take place at different points in the timeline. The first of them is in France, like in the late 1800s, where the majority of the stories take place. And the last one of the main 4 is like, okay, it's modern day, and Carcosa just intrudes on things. What is life like with that? Yeah, so I've been like reading through those, not because I intend to play them, but I just like reading tabletop books, and also I am a huge sucker for anything in that relating to that. So I've been having a good time with those. So, and it's like it's not like a combat based thing. It's more of like an investigation. It's based on the Gumshoe system. If anybody's familiar with that,
Hastur comes from like another planet or something like that, right?
Yeah, it differs. Like, Hastur is the great old one that the King in Yellow is it's like it depends on the mythos, but like Hastur, the King in Yellow is an avatar of Hastur, and he is related to the city of Carcosa, but also it exerts its influence on Earth through the play of the King in Yellow, and then broadly through like works of art and crazy artists and people who are alienated and stuff like that. Like in Delta Green, the most recent of the books that I've read of that, like Hastur is entirely online and is like somebody who is a force that operates on forums and stuff like that, and like encourages incels to commit acts of violence and stuff like that. Yeah,
that seems
it's pretty intense. Yeah. But also, I don't know, it's horror stuff.
It seems very like provincial. It seems like Hastur adapted a lot to Earth culture.
Yeah, no, he's just Hastur's, when in Rome, when in Carcosa.
So I'm sorry, I was digging for in one of the stories, at least. Hastur has a castle on the moon, so I was digging for a wizard from the moon joke.
Gotcha. It's a king from the moon. Yeah. Let's see here. David, how about you?
Not a whole lot, surprisingly. Somehow, I managed to like get time off and actually do responsible things instead of just binging games all the time.
Cool.
Sacrilege.
Only most of the time.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm continuing on with Nioh 2, so I'm kind of getting to the point in the story where everything's starting to go downhill.
Okay.
Which is interesting because it's a prequel, And obviously, by the time you get to like Nioh 1, things kind of suck.
Okay.
In Japan. So
yeah,
I guess we're now to that thing. Also, my original complaint is apparently unfounded. They are actually aging the characters, which is kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, though, it's still kind of the, samurai, killing demons with various pointy pieces of metal.
Of course.
Type of thing. Maybe a little bit more interesting, though, is I picked up, or actually had on Game Pass at Moonborn's recommendation from the Slack. I think it's pronounced Touhou, Luna Nights.
Okay, Touhou.
Yeah,
Touhou.
So it's a Metroidvania that apparently comes from like a long-running bullet hell series.
Yeah, it's like bullet hell series, like almost entirely fan-made, I think, and relates itself a lot to like pretty anime ladies.
Yeah. So you play as like a silver-haired girl in like a French maid outfit.
Okay.
Who inexplicably has the ability to stop and slow down time and to throw just obscene numbers of throwing knives at once.
Okay.
And as far as I can tell, you're either in an alternate reality or a computer simulation or something. And you're fighting yokai.
Okay.
And other than that, I have no idea whatsoever what's going on.
Oh, so Moonborn was probably listening to you talk about yokai stuff and said, you like yokai, do you?
It's definitely becoming a theme. So now it's
yokai
mostly,
rule.
Yeah, Tanuki and Ninja Kappa. Somehow.
Oh, this game's beautiful. This pixel art's really nice.
Yeah, and it's got really cool, very stylistic movement and combat. Has a lot of great things where, like, as you move, you'll kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's 2D, but it very much, tries to give it kind of a, a Devil May Cry, kind of character action game type of feel to things.
Yeah.
There's a big emphasis on like, jumping attacks, and you have the ability to like hover, things like that.
Okay.
The other feature that's kind of weird, but that I like a lot, is it has a stamina system. And you have to actually, one of the big mechanics is going and like picking your knives back up will instantly regain the stamina you used to throw them, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, huh.
The other thing it has, which is apparently like a trademark of these Touhou, again, I don't know how to pronounce these series.
Let's say Touhou.
Touhou?
Yeah.
Okay. Is what they call the graze system.
Okay.
So if you basically just barely touch a enemy or a projectile, rather than doing damage, it'll actually heal you and regenerate some of your stamina. And so in effect, it kind of serves a similar role to like the regain system from Bloodborne.
Yeah, high risk, high reward. And also, like, weirdly, did you ever play the Midnight Club racing games?
I did not, no.
Yeah, it's also a thing like in Burnout, specifically Paradise, but like getting, so in Midnight Club, if you got like real close to somebody without rubbing, you would get like extra points, maybe dollars off of that, and then like getting real close to somebody without rubbing and burn out, like kind of playing chicken with them side by side, we get you extra boost and stuff like that. So like
it's
that,
whatever the opposite of defensive driving is.
Yeah, like just getting up and mad dogging somebody, literally in their grill. Not really though. No, but yeah. So like that's a way to heal. By risking taking damage, you heal, and in this case, it is not done in a shmup kind of a capacity. Is done in this Castlevania. That's real interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, like I said, I'm not super far into it. I beaten the first boss, and I think gotten like the first two new movement abilities, Metroidvania style.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like is that they all kind of play into your kind of your thing with the knives. So, for example, whenever you do a double jump, you kind of like throw two knives straight down below you. So you can sort of do kind of I don't know, not exactly this, but a little bit like a DuckTales type thing, jump over enemies and do a double jump to damage them.
Yeah.
You can also then, double jumping is free from a stamina thing, so you can use that to cheese stamina by then grabbing those knives again.
Okay.
Similarly, I've unlocked the the slide under a low wall thing, and that has a similar mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
They also have some puzzle sections that are basically similar to the time control powers from Dead Space.
Okay.
So I haven't seen anything super, challenging with there, but it at least seems like there's the possibility.
Yeah. No, this so I pretty much knowing what Touhou comes from, waifu shmups. I never would have paid attention to this. This actually sounds, certain aesthetics aside, such as the waifus, it actually sounds like really fun as an action heavy Metroidvania. I'll ask these questions. They're relatively obscure games, but I don't expect you to have. So I don't expect the answer to be yes, but this might be something else to look at in the future. Have you played either Valdis Story or Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight?
So Momodora I own. That's like the game that I bought and keep intending to play and then never do.
Yeah, Momodora is good. That is like in the this. It is in the 2D Souls-like kind of realm, pixel art side scroller with a stamina system and roll. One second, I need to let my cat into this office, or else she's going to make my life hell. One moment.
You're setting fires over there.
No, I just and Valdis Story is a little bit more like a 2D Devil May Cry. If you're looking for stuff like this,
I think Valdis Story maybe this. I guess I kind of had a similar reaction to what you had with the with this game. I just the art style for Valdis Story was a big turn off.
The art style is not very good. The play is good. We did it for Watching for Fireballs, either a couple of years ago or this year, because fuck if that matters.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it definitely wasn't this year.
Was it not this year?
It was not 2021. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. Shit, nah. That's not. Yeah, that's really not fair. No. Oh, we did it March 5th of 2020. Good God.
Oh wow. It's forever ago.
I will become the Joker. Nice. So Touhou Luna Nights. Oh, this is on Switch too. That's tempting. Neat. Did you have anything else, David?
No, that's it.
Cool. And rounding us out here, Dennis.
Yeah, I'll have a fairly light week. I mentioned at the top, or rather Jen has been playing Paper Mario. I have been narrating Paper Mario.
Oh, okay.
So we've been playing it as a family, and the kids are watching along as Jen's playing it.
This is the Origami King for the Switch?
Origami King, yeah. Paper Mario RPG, the Origami King for the Switch. And I know both you and Ben have played this game and talked about it. So I
Ben has played it.
Oh, I thought you played it.
I have it, but I haven't played it.
Ah, there we go. Okay. Well, it is a delightful game, and it is a surprisingly funny game. Like I said, I'm kind of reading all the text to the kids as I go, and there are multiple times where I'll break out laughing reading something, just because the writing is that good, and it's lots of cleverness, and just kind-spirited fun to be had in the game. My favorite bit so far is you are talking to someone who you've been trying to get them to open up their shuriken shop.
Okay.
Don't ask me why. But you have to do all these quests for them. And he says at the end, as you finish the quest, he's like, I bet you're wondering if I can open up the shop now. And I'm just here to say, I sure can. I messed it up.
Oh, he set himself up in the pun. That's hashtag relatable.
So good. So good. And there's just a bunch of little moments like that. And what's really funny is what happens more often than not is Jen and I will bust out laughing, which is immediately followed by a chorus of, why are you laughing? What are you laughing? What's funny?
What am I missing out on?
Yeah. So it's actually like it's humor that's developed enough to go over a 6-year-old's head. So there's a lot of real cleverness there.
Do you make an attempt? So like with I sure can. Like, do you make an attempt to explain? Like, okay, he meant to say I sure can. Okay, so a shuriken, like, you know what a ninja star is? Like, how much of an attempt do you...
They're 6. Luke is 6. He absolutely knows what a shuriken is.
Okay, cool.
We are all swords and guns.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I knew what a shuriken was because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't know if today's kids are afforded that luxury.
I swear, there's got to be something like evolutionarily it's imprinted on his mind, because we have never pushed weapons as something to play with, and that's all they want to play with. So figure.
Marketing.
Go figure. Yeah. But they, when I can explain it in a sentence, I will. Otherwise, we tend to just be like, I don't worry about it, and they don't practice too much. So that's been fun, and that's the main joy I've gotten out of it. It's just very funny and joy filled. The combat, Ben, I know you talked about, and it's kind of elaborately different just for its own sake. And it's kind of worked for us anyway. I know, that was kind of the main thing that I saw people beefing with when I read about the game, and I get there's an amount of friction that comes from having an extra puzzle element to every combat. Especially one as kind of obtuse as the ring puzzle is. So, enemies stand on a ring around you. You can either rotate different layers of the ring or slide them side to side to get them lined up for certain weapon hits. But it's worked really well with a crowd when everyone like devolves into shouting like, oh no, move that one. No, the other one, this one, that one. And like, Luke and Milo get in on that because they understand it well enough to see some of the puzzles.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if that's like the element that got lost in translation, is like in development, everyone is playing this game together and talking about the puzzles together. And that was really fun. It ships out and, 90% of people are playing it alone. And it just doesn't have that it factor to it. And so when we're playing it in a group again, it is now quite enjoyable.
One of the things that I mean, that this is probably not giving people enough credit. I think that any new Paper Mario game that comes out is going to be held up against the standard of the earliest entries in the series, both Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, both of which have more of a standard turn-based JRPG combat system, albeit with more like timing-based kind of like, stuff in it to maximize the power of your attacks. When a new Paper Mario game comes out that has something non-standard, I think that a lot of people are going to reject it out of hand, regardless of like the specific problems that I have heard with people that I've heard people having with the ring system in Origami King.
To be fair, they are all equally poor excuses for Mario RPG.
I mean, yeah, like I'm a pretty big fan of Super Mario RPG, but also like Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga, or Partners in Time. Like those are all really good. So, but also like those were follows on the two games I talked about, Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door. It's tough. It's tough when fans expect something to be like it was, but then it's not.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're the only one that makes decent games for your system.
Also, yes. But all of that is, doesn't matter because you're having fun with this game and the way that you're playing it, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's worked for us. And then I remember you saying like, maybe this is better for a more kiddie audience. And so I guess my report can confirm like this works really well with younger kids.
You've probably gotten to this point. I feel like it kind of delves into the same breath sort of thing where at a certain point you start having to equip hammers or shoes to like one hit the enemies. And I feel like that's like kind of an annoying feature because it's like your items will break, after a few uses. And so it's like a weird inventory management that you didn't really want to have to do, but you kind of have to.
Yeah. So, well, there are not inventory limits that I am aware of, and I could be wrong. Like there's only a certain number of items you can equip at once, but I'm not aware of a limit on how much you can have in your inventory. And the game is fairly generous with its coins. So we have been very aggressive in buying backup inventory. And if your thing breaks mid-combat, you can re-equip it if you have a backup without any penalty. And we've also been pretty generous in terms of just using at any point you can pay the toads surrounding the battle to cheer for you, or sometimes even move items around. And so if we ever hit a puzzle where we feel like, this feels tough, or the other thing you can do is you can buy extra time. And I think we wind up doing that more often than not. So that like we've been pretty free and loose with that. It has not cramped us for money, and it's kept things flowing pretty well. So
cool.
That's been a worthwhile approach. I don't know if there's been people that have tried to power game it and like I will not invest extra coins in backup weapons or extra time or partially solving the puzzle or whatever.
I won't invest an in-game resource to make a system I don't like easier to deal with.
Yeah. Have you met gamers? That's
all they do. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is taking the edge off of the fact it is dumb that the items break because all it is kind of justifying this extra currency in the game. Like I said, and they never put you in a position where you are hard up for resources. So they might as well just give you the hammer once and have it never break. But I'm sure there's some kind of dopamine trigger that they're designing in there that is justifying them having that extra system.
Right.
Or it could just be like, in RPG games you buy weapons. What are you talking about?
See, I like to imagine that someone at Nintendo realized that loot boxes were the big cool thing, but didn't understand enough to understand how they worked. And so just put this in because they thought that's what people liked now.
Yeah, that is my headcanon now as well.
I don't mean to take us off topic here real quick, but it's fine. I've got Dottie sitting here, and normally she always wants to bite my hand, is what she goes for. Like if I try, now she's running away from me. Sorry, no. I bought new work gloves. I bought a new set of work gloves. And I was like, I wonder how she'll react if I put on these gloves. Like, will she still bite them or whatever? I went to pet her and she like ran away. And I was like, here, bite my finger. And then no, she just wants to she's like batting at it with her little paws. Like she's really afraid of these work gloves, you guys.
That's hilarious.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, your hands just doubled in size.
I love the constant escalation. I saw that you put the keyboard underneath the table now.
It's on a tray, yeah. And that's why she's sitting here not really interfering with anything because I've got the keyboard under the tray.
Wicked smart.
Yeah, so it is a constant escalation. I apologize for taking us off topic there, but I was like, I'm gonna do a little experiment while I have her in front of me, and that was the result. Was her literally running toward the back of the desk, and then like peeking her head out until I took it off, and now she is over smelling at the glove as it lays inert on the tabletop.
No, that's a welcome diversion right there.
Yeah.
So one other semi-off topic, jumping back to the topic of like good Metroidvania games.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you guys played Sundered?
Yes, yeah, I've gotten a fair ways into that. It is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend that to you all.
Cool.
Oddly, I have not finished it.
Beautiful pixel art.
Do you know like what power you most recently unlocked?
I can't. I could go in and look and tell you, but I can't say it off the top of my head.
It's been a while since you talked about it. What else have you been playing besides Paper Mario Origami King?
Yeah. So the other thing I've been playing is just lots and lots more Trackmania.
Cool.
I talked about this last time. It has stuck. And this is dangerous, guys. Like the needle is back in deep. The couple interesting things that happened is the end of the year was the end of their winter campaign. They released like 25 tracks a season. And I noticed 2 days out from the end, I'm like, there's like bronze, silver, gold, and then author time, which is set by the person who created the track.
Okay.
And it's like above gold. It's usually really, you have to be perfect, right? In a game that already demands precision. And I was like, I'm kind of close to having all the author medals. I wonder if I could. And that meant that the last 2 nights of the year were spent just grinding out author medals. I think with 2 days to go, I had 5 medals left. And all but one of them was on the black difficulty, which is the highest level of difficulty, tracks. And the night before New Year's Eve, I managed to get 4 of the 5. And then there was just the one left on New Year's Eve, and it was the final track of the entire campaign. So track 25. And it's one of those things where, excuse me, there's almost like a slot machine-esque element to Trackmania where every time you start, it's like, this could be it. This could be the God run. This is, it's a little bit like your mentality in a roguelike, just without any of the surrounding systems. But it's like at that starting line, it's all possibility. Your run is perfect at that point. It's yours to lose. And so it's like, I told you, I was like, hey, I'm really close. I just want to finish this. And she's like, okay, how long do you think that'll be? I was like, I have no idea. Like it could literally happen the first time I do the track, in which case about a minute. Or I could be here.
When will I see you again, honey? When the war's over. When the war's over.
Yeah. So thankfully it only took me like a half hour or so to get lucky and get the final author medal. But that felt like an accomplishment, as I got all the author medals for the track. And I think that put me in the top 5,000 players in the world. So, I mean,
there's a lot of people in the world. 7.5 billion.
Guard that secret closely. People ask and they don't say the actual number. In Trackmania Turbo, they said the number, and I would religiously, I had a calculator on my phone, I would religiously calculate the percentage. But it's significant because they give trophies at the end of the season, and the 5,000 rank was a break point for what level of trophy you got. So,
cool.
Nothing else. I got that kind of upper tier trophy, which is nice. But yeah, I've just enjoyed it so much, and like in coinciding with that, they released the new seasons of tracks. So the January, February, and March tracks, and I've been playing through those. They've been a blast. And I actually also dipped into the creation side of the game. And so the entire game is created with like tiles, essentially. Like it's all just a giant tile set. And it has a huge community for creating tracks. And I'd never messed with that before because when I had it on PS4, because that's like it's not great to try to make it with a controller.
Right.
And I just, I never looked into that. But I had an idea. I was like, I want to make a track that's based on like Marbleworks pieces.
Okay.
Did any of you guys play with Marbleworks when you were a kid?
No.
I feel like it's come up. It's it's like the little plastic tracks that they all stack on top of each other. And
I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they have them set at toy stores a lot.
Yeah. So that's I was like, what if I took a bunch of pieces and like tried to emulate those, and built a track like that? And I was really happy with how easy it was to build a track that like it wasn't straight up imitating the pieces, but it was kind of like each section of the track kind of borrowed an idea from one of those pieces.
Cool.
And I was just really impressed with how easy it was to put it together, and with a little effort, I even felt like it was kind of looking pretty. So I kind of finished that. And the way this works, a PC game that you can export the file for it, and there's a ton of different sites to like post your track for people to find and download it. But to do the like on platform upgrading, you need to have the club access. And I talked about the kind of format last time where there's like free mode, there's standard, and there's club access. So they got me. I finished this thing, and that's what finally got me to go over the edge. The other thing is there was a giant sale going. Their winter sale is going on, and so it was like 20% off. And then if you use the like 2021 code or whatever, you got another 21% on top of that. So I now have like the super mega club tier, which means I gotta go pimp my ride now. I gotta go pick a custom skin for my car, since that's now a thing that I have access to.
Otherwise you're leaving money on the table. Come on.
I know, right? Yeah, it's like I've not signed up for this as an obligation to sing
my car is going to be pretty.
But yeah, it's just like I had so much fun creating it. That also, like, I can now register for their open league, so I'll probably be doing that. So just expect for the next 3 years since I got the mega tier of it, I will just always be playing Trackmania in the background, and I am sorry for talking about it as much as I'm sure I will.
No,
I'm having a blast with it. This is going to be my new Hearthstone, where it's just kind of always going on in the background for years and years.
Yeah, and I as a participant in this project, I will not look sideways at you playing a game that you enjoy. So
good to hear. Good to hear. So that's me. Those two games have been the preponderance of my gaming time by far.
Nice. Well, that is all of us who have said our thing. And I think that we need to segment multiplayer. Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that we ask the nice people?
Yeah, and shout out to Aaron for sending this one in. He suggested that we ask, what is your biggest gaming nitpick? This is someone that no one else, or something that no one else cares about, but you have opinions on. So yeah. What should more people care about? Damn it.
Yeah. So I'll get us started here with Patrick, who says, colorblind options that completely change the color of the game itself. I don't need the grass to change its color. I just please make the labels around it more readable. That and the ones that change colors of things like health bars that don't have any other way of identifying the difference between enemies. I don't use colorblind options on Destiny 2 because of this. If everyone else calls them orange bar enemies and they aren't orange for me, how do I tell? This is something that varies wildly from developer to developer, and I desperately want there to be like a standard, almost like just like a Bible for colorblind invisibility, visual impairments. Like, hey, if you are trying to solve this problem, go to this. Here are the standards that we've agreed upon, and people who suffer from these disabilities, they can tell you, they've waited on this and it works better. Yeah.
You don't understand. Our brand colors are.
No, fuck you and your brand colors. If it doesn't work in black and white, it's shit branding anyway. So, sorry, a little bit of client let's see here, anger came through at that. I didn't mean for that, baby. Come back, baby. I'm sorry.
Well, gosh, we lost our sizable audience of marketers.
Oh man, Ben, what does Devin say?
Devin says, in Dark Souls, particularly Dark Souls 3, I hate how strict it can get with your weapon hitting a pillar or something during a sweep and bouncing off while an enemy with equally humongous greatsword can swipe right through to you. If I can ding off a wall, so can the enemy mob. Damn it.
Yeah, agreed.
That actually has lore implications, though. So we need to get into pillar consistency in
yes, and the alloys that they make their broadswords out of. No,
one of mine with this is just the concept of like hitting multiple enemies with a great sword.
Oh, it should stop after the first one as it gets lodged in their sternum.
Yeah, like that. Just you can't chop through multiple enemies unless you are significantly stronger than the strongest person currently alive.
Right. Well, video game protagonists.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, I'm not at all bothered by Berserk style of combat.
I mean, Berserk just has to look cool.
Yeah, no, I'm joking, but it is like that's not possible.
Yeah. David, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, game length shouldn't be a factor in reviewing games. It's not great, but it's 200 hours plus, so we'll give it a 9 out of 10. 200 plus hours of boring gameplay is just boring. As an addendum, if the side quest is the best part of your game, you have messed up.
Ooh, it sounds like Ollie has a specific problem with The Witcher 3.
Buried the lead there.
I was going to say an addendum onto this too is like how much it costs to make the game should not be a factor in how much how you review it.
Also,
or how much employees are paid, but that is something that needs to be fixed on the game maker's side and not the reviewer's side.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, luckily for you, how much employees are paid has no bearing on
anything. Yeah.
How the game's reviewed.
Yeah, no, I agree. The food's terrible, but the portions are great, I think is the way to sum up what Ollie's talking about.
Yeah. Roger Ebert said, what is it, that no bad movie can be too short, no good movie can be too long.
Yeah. It's all it all has to do with what you got. Dennis, what does Rookie say?
Rookie says procedural generation. I understand that others love this. After all, roguelikes are a thing, but anything procedurally generated, loot, levels, whatever, is a game killer for me. I've tried playing games like Spelunky or The Binding of Isaac many times, but I just can't seem to get into them. I enjoy games feeling like a curated experience, not random nonsense to get through so I can be rewarded with more random nonsense with slightly bigger numbers. And procedurally generated loot, a la Borderlands or Destiny, really kills my desire to even pick things up because it's another damn chore to sift through the mountains of crap. At this point, whenever I see those two hateful words in a game description, or worse, every playthrough is different, I just move along to the next game.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like especially in Borderlands, you just wind up only using the golden weapons anyway, which the special thing about them is they are not random.
Yeah.
Like, they have a special thing. So it kind of defeats the whole system there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Borderlands just desperately needs to, instead of having random loot, needs to give you access to their loot generation system. Like, if what it was is it randomly dropped weapon parts, that would be an amazing game. Also, if they fired their writers, but...
Yeah, no, I am feeling simpatico with Rookie, because for Waff, and playing these games for assignment is different, But like for Waff, we just recorded today the Enter the Gungeon episode, and that is a game that is very good, that I respect an awful lot. Like, it is admirable. Like, you can look at it and say, like, oh yeah, tons of care went into this, and there's so much great about it. But like, like roguelike progression specifically, it kind of feels like running on a treadmill, and we're coming up on it. I like this game. Like, it jibes with my playstyle a little bit more, but next month we're doing Monster Train, which is also a roguelike, collectible card game, strategy game kind of thing. And that also has a roguelike structure to it. So I not only have to deal with like, oh God, have I beaten this? Can I talk about this without being a fraud? But also like, I don't know. I like feeling like I've beaten a game, and I don't know when I've beaten this. Give me closure, damn you. Greg writes, Give a game several difficulty levels, and from the start, damn it, don't make me finish the game first to unlock one, so that anyone can play your game and enjoy it regardless of their skill level. I don't have either the patience or time these days to bash my head against a boss fight 20 times. I just want to play it and have fun. Before anyone says I'm not just thinking about the Dark Souls games, many other games are guilty of this also. Game developers need to realize more and more people are playing their games, not just teens and young adults with super reflexes and all the time in the world to play. Us 40-hour working adults with kids want to play also. Okay, I don't have kids, but you get my point. Yes? I do. Easy modes rule.
So I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to agree in the opposite direction, which is I see the sin committed of gating higher difficulties way more often than I see the sin committed of gating lower difficulties.
Oh, very often there is just no lower difficulty.
And that's its own problem. But specifically, like when there are difficulty tiers, maybe this is my nitpick, I don't know. But oftentimes there's like baby, easy, medium. Beat it on medium, you can have hard. Beat it on hard, you can have super hard. Beat it on super hard, you can have.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm gonna play through this once, and I trust myself to like start with the difficulty a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Let me do that.
Or like if I do the first level and think, oh yeah, like I've got this under control. I'm not gonna have fun unless don't make me beat the game to play it like fun. Like you put that mode in there. You thought there was something to recommend it. Like let me get at it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
See, I'm gonna be the minority here. I think this is true of most games. I think the Soulsborne games, I think it would severely hurt the games, if not ruin them, to have a easy mode.
Yeah, easy mode is one thing, but like the equivalent, so like in Dark Souls, is let me summon somebody, either an NPC or like that's the easy mode for that. Or, like instead of going to a new game plus, like let me use a bonfire ascetic in Dark Souls 2 to like level up this particular area, or like respawn this boss but harder. Like all of that stuff is cool as hell, and it's regrettable that they got rid of that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, I think having progression is part of it.
Yeah. I mean, being able to change your difficulty midway through, especially down and up and down and up, would be a different thing. Like that's why in like Dark Souls 2, it's tied to resources and stuff. Ben, what does Callum say?
Callum says games that don't have subtitles as an option bug the hell out of me. I'm not hearing impaired, but the house is often loud, so being able to see what is said helps me not miss stuff.
Callum stole mine, so thank you, Callum.
I didn't even know there were games now that didn't have that as an option. That's kind of crap.
It's really, really rare now. It's usually like in indie games, but even those will end up having some kind of captioning. But like if you go back even like one generation, I haven't talked about this in the what you've been playing, but like I got a little bit of a hankering to play some old Assassin's Creed games, just because I don't know, I used to like that series and want to dip back into it. Like, and I was shocked to find out that Assassin's Creed 1, at least the Xbox 360 version you can get on Xbox Live, doesn't have subtitles.
Oh wow, that would almost be unplayable for me, because like in particular, like
Accented?
I will often use subtitles for English like if I'm watching an English movie but it's like British actors, or a non Midwestern accent.
Right, non-standard American. No, absolutely. When I play games for shows, I really need the subtitles on, because like I might not know what that character's name, or I might not know, like, oh, I didn't catch this. I could be lost without those.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed was made by a group of game developers with a variety of faiths, but not a variety of language spoken.
Yeah, or a variety of ability to hear, or a variety of, like, let's say, ability to follow heard information versus seen information. Yeah, I know that they've...
funny because the most recent games just go the exact opposite, where like the game will literally voice narrate the menus for you if you want them to.
Yeah, no, like go for it. Maybe, there can never be too much accessibility as long as there are options. But yeah, lack of subtitles is bullshit. Yeah. And that's mine. That Callum took mine, so thank you for that. David, what does Sean say?
Sean says, sections of games which have a timer. I really don't need the added stress of having to rest, then no doubt repeating the section over and over as I'm just too slow.
Having to rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like this is almost like the stealth game thing where it's like, it's okay to make a stealth game. It's not okay to have stealth elements in a game that isn't a stealth game. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's okay to like have a section that's like, or have a game that's timed or whatever, but like having sections that are timed is always a bad idea.
Yeah. Or it's it's a gamble. Yeah, turns
like unless you're making a racing game, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dennis, what does David say?
David says, I hate when games make you travel ridiculous lengths for an objective that has no options for fast travel. GTA 5 in particular annoyed the hell out of me with a lot of the missions. Sure, you could take a taxi outside of missions, but while in a mission, you're stuck driving literal miles for objectives. Oof.
Yeah, no, I felt that acutely. We just did, we are going to be recording an episode about Grand Theft Auto Vice City for Waffle, and that has no fast travel with no checkpointing within missions. It's rough.
Remember when that was cool though? Like how big the world was? And now it's just like, I want to be where I want to be, please.
Mm-hmm. I have so little time on this earth. Oh man. I got 70, man. Please do not eat away at that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're ever going to see the day where like game companies start hiring, I don't know what they'd be like, urban planners or whatever, to be like, how do we design these levels and not piss off our customers?
Yeah. Don't know.
Well, and now with the new generation, all of the technical requirements that make things need to be more labyrinthine are kind of evaporating. So yeah. I think you can see that really, really change.
Yeah, now games are doing the squeeze through a tight space, not to conceal loads, but because that's what you do in games, right?
Yeah, to show off the details of the textures is what I heard.
Yeah. Tom writes, I'm going to beat the easy mode drum again, but I do not know what's wrong with wanting abilities to adjust difficulty on single-player games. I used to be super iffy on it, but then upon revisiting Simpsons Hit and Run, I realized how much of the late game was miserable timer missions. The good news was I played it on PC with Lucas's mod manager. With just a little tweaking in the mod manager, all of the missions became a bit more fair. It hurt no one, and I got to have fun revisiting an old game rather than just sadly give up after level 3. Yeah, Hit and Run is lousy with those, like after you go like even one stage in. And that's why playing games on PC is great, because console commands. The ultimate equalizer. Yeah. Let's see here. Ben, what does Chris say?
Chris says, shooters have too much shooting. Why do I have to murder an entire planet of dudes, Naughty Dog? Why?
Yeah, I can move. I can climb. I can explore. I don't need to kill everybody in the middle of this. Yeah.
And how does that repair the relationship with your wife?
But you swing and you slide down the gravel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Let's see, David, what does Dan say?
Dan says, QuickTime events. Either let me play or let me watch. No hybrids, please. No thank you.
Yeah.
Have you ever is it David Jaffe? Have you ever played a David Jaffe game?
Too many QuickTime events in those. Yeah. I mean, it says a lot. I mean, like, it is such a dated thing, too. Like, you can tell, like, oh, this game was made between 2005 and 2012. When, like, I can't turn a valve without, like, spinning the analog stick. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Dan.
That's got me thinking, like, I wonder, has any of that stuck around? I wonder if... So my working theory is, it seems to me like character action games became popular, and people realized, oh, we could use actual gameplay to accomplish, like, tense situations and reflexes.
Yeah, but also character action games were like a really big vector for that, like kills in Bayonetta, like boss kills in Grand Theft Auto. I think that it was kind of something where they dabbled in it and then got away from it.
So God of War does have too many QuickTime events. I was thinking of David Cage, which is QuickTime event the game.
Okay, David Jaffe did God of War. Okay, yeah, no, David
Cage did Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human, etc.
Yes, yeah. Let's see here. That was, let me see here. Ben was Chris, and David was Dan. Hey, Dennis, what's Gwen say?
Gwen says, on expert modes, Rock Band 4 will sometimes use the red pad for the hi-hat input and the yellow pad for the snare. It makes some sense on complicated 16th note hi-hat runs, but sometimes, like in Jumper by Third Eye Blind, it completely ruins the flow of the whole song.
Yeah, I think Gwen is like literally just putting bait out here for me. That sucks, because everything...
Stole my backup now.
Everything in the game is like, when you play drums, is like, okay, red is the snare, like that's what you need to hit to establish the backbeat, like that is the high value thing. If you miss a snare hit, then you're going to then you're going to lose more of your health, right? Your performance meter or whatever. But then you get to songs like Everlong, where because they have to put the 16th note hi-hat, like that's literally all you do for most of that, aside from the fills. Like, no, we need to put that on red. There's an option if you have the pro drums to make sure that the hi-hat is always on the hi-hat, but you have to have those cymbals, and those are rare and fragile. And you know, they're respected by Rock Band 4, but like not everything like has a natural chart for it. So oftentimes what you'll end up doing is like, okay, I've got this here, but then all of a sudden your snare is mapped to a cymbal, which makes no fucking sense, because it was only ever charted for the 4 pads. Yeah, the semiotics of that. Also the fact that like when you're doing 16th runs on a hi-hat and you have to hit the snare to do some kind of backbeat or whatever, like on an actual drum set, like everything is set up like, you know, you want to have your hi-hat to the left of the snare, but it's the opposite way on a Rock Band drum set. Yeah, it messes up, and like everything is kind of like flip-flopped on you. Sucks.
Just a reminder, if you want to learn to play drums,
you can just play drums. Yeah. but like Rock Band notation is so easy to understand.
I think it's a really good gateway, because after I played Rock Band at your house in college, I went home and started playing drums in the basement.
Yeah. Yep. So, like I said, Gwen was literally just laying bait out there for me. So thank you. I had fun talking about Rock Band drums. Sam writes, games where you spend more time in slowly moving menus and load and download screens than playing the game. For example, like every mobile game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of game it is, but yeah, if you're doing a bunch of menu taxes are a real thing. Mm-hmm. Menu taxes are a real thing. Ben, what does Julia say?
Julia says, when the loading screen or symbol is animated, but hitches as the game loads, why wouldn't you just make it smoothly looping GIF that plays while loading occurs? I am very mad about this.
Well, it alarms me. It alarms me when the loading thing stops, because I think, okay, did it freeze? Even if it's just for a moment, like that's like a little, like a micro anxiety that piles up.
This feels like something I did wrong.
Yes, like, oh god, did I not feed my PlayStation the right food?
Oh shit, is that what the PS5 requires?
Oh yeah.
I think I found your problem, Cole. You should not be feeding your PlayStation food.
I mean, I just slide some waffles right in there. Yeah, if I flatten them down, it's fine, but no. Okay.
What do you do if you have the all digital edition?
It's really
Waffle's
sad.
Getting in there.
And then finally here, David, what does Nicholas say?
Nicholas says, I hate how games with limited continues count against you if you die before the first checkpoint. Why? Since you've not reached the first checkpoint, it's effectively the same as getting game over, but worse, because you now have to clear the exact same amount of game, but with fewer continues. Worse, there's already a workaround for this, intentionally throwing all your other continues until you get game over, but it wastes your time.
Yeah. I feel this 8 and 16-bit problem. Yeah. I've already, Callum already took mine with the subtitles. That's the one that I feel most deeply, and I can't pretend to get angry about something I'm not really angry about. Ben, how about you?
I'm gonna say like 95% of RPGs I give nitpick because they're not actually RPGs, or the choices you're making it unlocks like combat moves or something like that, or something that isn't really reinforced later in the game. Like the things that I consider to be actual honest to goodness RPGs are things like Knights of the Republic or like Disco Elysium, where like what you invest in actually matters and it changes the course of the game.
No, agreed. David, how about you?
I'd say probably games that equate pacifism with morality.
Yeah. I can see that. Anything more on that?
You could also go the Army of Two route, where pacifism could be, flick the spinner and see what happens.
Well, yeah. Army of Two, just don't be Army of Two. But no,
like that game.
I'd say that. I'd say then also just probably games that force you to non-combat.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite game, David?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you have a favorite game in terms of the morality system?
Oh, I think there's very few good ones. I like what Jade Empire was intending to do. The problem is they just don't do a very good job of it.
Yeah, the idea being of like open palm versus closed fist. The idea of I don't know how to sum it up succinctly. So
yeah, I mean it's basically was like social Darwinism versus altruism.
Yeah, but like a third of the way through, it just became classic BioWare. Is this evil or is it? Yeah.
I would say like what I want to see is a game where if you go the violent path and any of your allies die, you have to explain to their families why you went the violent path. And if you go the pacifist path, you have to explain to your victims' families why you didn't get them justice. You
have to explain to the victims of the aggressors why you didn't get them justice.
Right, exactly.
It's not the exact same thing, but it calls to mind one of the stats in the stat menu of Alpha Protocol was orphans created.
Yeah, there was a stat for that?
There was.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I think mine has to do with the physical copies of games. You guys all know that I love me a good instruction manual, but I think we've gotten to a point where I can no longer reasonably expect that when I buy a game. Although I would love to just get a book with the game, that'd be awesome. Yeah. But if I'm getting the physical copy of something, I want some kind of feeling that's not just an ad for another game in the box. Doesn't have to be an instruction book because those don't exist anymore. But like a nice overview sheet, or like give me one of those covers that you can flip inside out. Like do something like that.
I love the covers that you can flip inside out.
Yeah, inverted covers are the best. But yeah, like it is so rare for me to get a physical copy of a game that I feel like that should be rewarded. And having said that, I need to run over and check if the Origami King has anything like that in it.
Ooh,
I want to take a step back, Kole. Is the orphans created? Is it a different number for each person, or is each person have exactly one kid?
I think that it is randomized. Like, but I think it's between one. I think it depends on region too. So it's between 0 and like 3 or 4, depending. Randomized for each person that you kill. I don't think.
Wait, as in the Chinese version of the game, everyone only has one, or is it depending on what area of the world you're in game?
What area of the world you're in game? I think it varies based on like statistics for that area. But I may be overthinking.
I would not be surprised if that was something that China censored.
I have no idea if that game about American espionage came out in China.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for writing in. We got a lot of responses that time. We went a little bit long, but that makes a little bit of sense because we've been away for a while. If you would like to participate in these going in the future, you can go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the post to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you, Dennis, for putting this one up.
Mm-hmm.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about the things that are happening in the world of video games that are exciting to us. Dennis, what have we learned about Breath of the Wild NPCs?
Yeah, so a modder for Breath of the Wild called Hey, I'm Heroic discovered that in-game NPCs for Breath of the Wild are actually kind of based off of or built off of Mii avatars, which the implications of this for me are fascinating. The Miis are evolving, you guys. So we know the little the Miis, these kind of very simple characters that you can create, and it's actually kind of stunning how accurately you can recreate yourself with a very simple set of tools.
Or even fictional characters, like I've seen C-3PO, Darth Vader, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean everything from like Peter Griffin to presidents to you name it. And like I said, the likenesses are striking. There's actually like. You start from that and then it levels it up, I guess, kind of Breath of the Wild-izes the character to create a bunch of the NPCs in the game. Mm-hmm. And this modder has turned has figured out that they can actually like insert you into the game, insert your Mii into the game in a Breath of the Wild style. But like I said, the most interesting thing here is that they are learning, they are growing. This is like Mii Gen 3 happening in Breath of the Wild. And I will be curious to see where the Miivolution goes from here.
The Miivolution. It'll be on a television. It might not be televised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, I want to say that this is something that the Wii kind of leaned into, like the original time they did this, where it was like, hey, make your character and it'll show up in games, right? Like that was the thing.
Oh, for sure. Like in Smash Brothers and stuff like that, like the Mii Fighters, even like Nintendo games, like you could put it in Mario Kart. There were Mii. Basically Nintendo stuff.
I remember it from Game Boy Camera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I contest that they haven't gone far enough, and like I want to be able to like have a Mii version of myself walking around in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, I thought you were going to go the other direction. Like there should be a facility that I can go to in Redmond, Washington, where I get coated with a bunch of gel and stand in a chamber, and then a photorealistic Mii is created and then put into. Yeah.
Either way works.
Being slathered in gel is a really important part of the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Miis just scream gel.
Things.
Did you say the Miis just scream in gel?
They just scream gel.
Yeah.
You just one look, you can tell they've been made from gel. In a way, we've all been made from gel, but
yeah.
So it's just I'll be interested to see where else this shows up. And if you want to get yourself into Breath of the Wild, there's now a simple way to do so.
Just a fun little generator. Yeah, this makes sense, as opposed to like hand sculpting every single feature, like being able to say like, okay, this input from the Mii will roughly turn into this kind of feature. And then instead of designing however many NPCs we need to fill these towns, let's just like feed in a bunch of Miis and then it'll look fine. That's actually a really smart way to solve that problem.
I guess the other thing about this is, if this was something that was like above board and Nintendo was behind, I feel like they would have talked about it. Like it's kind of a cool idea, like you just described. Like why would they be like, hey, were they worried people would be mad and think that
like,
this
oh god, this is lazy?
Or
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not everybody to think that like, hey, a fun like workaround for a difficult problem, like people wouldn't like recognize the ingenuity of that and would instead focus on like, you took a shortcut. I went
right, or I mean, like you can add a feature, you can be an NPC, like have it in game,
right,
instead of having a modder do it. It's just really interesting. Like I said, that's why I insist that it's an evolution and they did not intend this. It's just happening and they can't control it.
See,
you never know. The person you're talking to, you might be married to a Mii. You don't even know.
I feel like if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that people are stupid and will do whatever the worst case scenario is. So I can definitely relate to the whole like not telling people.
Yeah. Ben, what's going on with Slay the Spire?
Yeah, and a weird twist of development. Slay the Spire is going to be made into a board game. So
not a card game?
Well, I guess kind of both. It's going to be a deck building game, so there's going to be a physical deck in it instead of the digital deck like in the board game or in the computer game. It's going to be on Kickstarter in spring 2021. It's going to be one to 4 players, and I believe it's only co-op. I don't think you fight one another.
It is. That's pure co-op.
Yeah, and that's almost all the details that they've revealed so far. The running time will be 45 minutes per player.
Cool.
This seems right up your alley, Dennis.
There's a lot of good company for Deck of Wonders out there. Like seeing stuff like this kind of validates, and it's like, okay, yeah, like it wasn't just crazy, and there's a reason so many people got excited for Deck of Wonders.
There's a market for this.
Yeah, go figure. This got me thinking, Ben, about how easy it would be to like just directly port the mechanics from the game, and like how many cards are there that generate other cards that you'd have to work around, and how many cards are there that have random elements that you'd have to work around. And I, at least at first blush, like there's not too much standing in the way of just a straight like physical reskinning of it, even down to like, enemies always follow the same pattern in order of events, so like even that isn't hard to replicate. So this could be very, very faithful if they wanted.
The thing that's tricky is now you have to do all the math, though. That does not seem fun.
Yeah.
Never underestimate people's willingness to do math in games. In a world where Gloomhaven exists.
I've played Power Grid with people before, so I know that is an actual barrier. So
that's fair.
I think like stuff like this, there's like a lot of things that would go into it too, right? Like say, for example, you have both the thing that makes your attack 1.5 times, and you also have the thing that makes you weak. They're vulnerable and you're weakened. And say that they have like a shield that goes down by 1 if you do damage to them. Like, you're trying to get the player to track all that information, or like what if they, they hit divinity too, and so then their attacks like 3 times. It's like I could see a lot of there's going to be a lot of modifiers. So I think at a certain point, it's not going to be feasible for someone to try and do all those calculations. So I feel like they're going to need to simplify it to some degree.
Yeah. If they're going to be good designers, and we know the people behind Slay the Spire are good designers, they will. I'm just saying you could do a very faithful recreation.
Do we know much of anything about other games that this company has done? What is it? Contention games?
Yeah, there's just one other.
Okay.
I did not see much about it. Let's see. Yeah, Imperium: The Contention. So the name's in the game.
Oh yeah, no idea. I just that usually is a good indication. A company's legacy will show you what kind of game they're predisposed to make.
Yeah, well, it's a one game legacy, but making something with Slay the Spire.
Yeah, they must have passed.
Especially if the people behind Slay the Spire are behind it, or behind the physical game as well.
Yeah,
it'd be hard to mess up.
Yeah, no, that's a hell of a vote of confidence.
And their one game, by the way, is rated pretty highly on Board Game Geek.
Oh, nice.
8.6 out of 10. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, this feels good. I got a good vibe for this.
Nice. I'll do mine. This is a follow up to something that I probably mentioned back in August. So The Sinking City is a game by Frogwares, the studio that normally makes Sherlock Holmes games, but The Sinking City is another investigation game that is explicitly Lovecraftian. Like, you are in a place where there are, people, who are descendants of deep ones and stuff like that. Like, you're dealing with Cthulhu stuff in that. Unfortunately, because of a dispute between Frogwares, the developer, and the publisher, Nacon, specifically Nacon not giving Frogwares the money that they owed them, the game was pulled off of storefronts 4 months ago, back in August. The short version here is that even though the contract was terminated back then because of the dispute, a court in France has come and said, actually, no, you couldn't terminate that. The game needs to go back up for sale. And now the game is back up for sale. So you can buy The Sinking City and play it. I would rate it like a firm 7 out of 10 game. Like, not for everybody, but there's cool stuff to it. But you also, you might have a weird feeling about who's getting the money. Is it the people who are supposed to get it per the agreement? What kind of weird stuff is going on? So you may benefit from being able to play it, but yeah, it might, it is still up in the air as this case is being appealed as to whether or not the publisher is holding up to their end of the agreement.
Taking the game down is a weird solution to that. Oh, you're not paying the person who made the game?
Yeah.
All right. And now nobody gets any money.
Yeah. Well, just the idea is okay, we're going to terminate the agreement, pull it down. You're not going to get any money. Really all we need to do is get the money that we're owed. And then you can put it back up and make however much more money we want on it based on our initial agreement. The idea was to try and starve them, but apparently the French courts didn't see that as being a thing. So it's complicated, but the short version is, if you want to play this cool but flawed game, it is up there and available for you.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then finally here, David, what's the story you brought for us?
So this is pretty much just hey, here's a cool article that you should read. Granted, this is from last Christmas, but I just found it this Christmas. Someone wrote up a 6,000-word essay on why the Muppet Christmas Carol is the best adaptation of the Christmas Carol that's ever been in film.
Okay.
Their basic argument, one is that the Christmas Carol is supposed to be a horror story. It's supposed to be a ghost story.
Yeah.
And the Muppets, their use of puppets has been the only one that's really ended up with compelling ghosts.
Yeah, as opposed to just somebody in makeup delivering a morality tale. Yeah,
exactly. But probably their biggest thing is the argument that the core of what makes the novella Christmas Carol work is that it's explicitly being narrated by Dickens, and has a bunch of asides and meta commentary and commentary on how he's telling the story and things like that it drives a lot of its humor from. And basically makes the argument that in choosing to have Gonzo literally play the role of Dickens and assisted by Rizzo the Rat,
of course,
that it actually is the most true to the original story.
I love a Muppets Christmas Carol, so I believe it. I'm amenable to this argument. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this dovetails with another thing. I don't know if this is from that article, because it popped up again, but Michael Caine, who played Ebenezer Scrooge, very well. Michael Caine's a good actor. Part of his condition for taking that role was I'm never going to acknowledge that I'm talking to puppets. I'm going to play this as straight as possible. I'm going to play Ebenezer Scrooge as if I was part of a Shakespearean repertory company that was putting this play on for Christmas time.
Wait,
like,
wasn't it Patrick Stewart who was Scrooge in that movie?
Nope, that was the later one.
Oh,
okay, yeah. Michael Caine was the one.
Wait, Ben, have you seen the Muppet Christmas Carol? Because if not, we need to stop this podcast and go fix that right now.
I thought it was Patrick Stewart. I'm sorry.
Michael Caine at peak Michael Caine.
Michael Caine has been at peak Michael Caine for about 30 years. I mean, like, Children of Men is Michael Caine at peak Michael Caine. So, yeah. So I thought that's just a related story, but just his idea of like, no, I'm going to play this like a human talking to humans, and we will let the audience fill in the absurdity of me talking to puppets. And I think that is a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, especially because the idea of Michael Caine just trying to ham it up is appalling. Like, the man knows his strengths.
Yeah. No, he's he's a working British actor, and that is like a particular kind of thing that, like, if you come in and try to, like, I don't know, overplay that, and it ends up sucking. So just let him do it. Let him make his call, and it works out. Yeah, I am amenable to this argument. I don't need to. Good God, I don't need to spend the 29 minutes reading this. So, per the estimated reading time that Slack is giving me, so I'm good. I already agree with this. Cool. Well, how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
The credits.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. It is good to be back in 2020. I'm disappointed that it is not magically better than the new one in 2021.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, no, it's basically the same. It's basically the point I was making. It's good to be back in 2021. I am disappointed that it is not magically better than 2020, given that nothing has changed besides the number on the calendar. But here we are.
I mean, to be fair, it's possible that things have changed by the time this episode drops.
Yes, we are recording this during the Georgia Senate runoffs. Ooh, okay. No, I'm not going to read. Basically, I don't want to build any dramatic irony into this. So I'm not going to say that.
Play it straight as Michael Caine.
Yes, I'll play it straight as Michael Caine. No, we're recording this during the runoff elections in Georgia. That will determine the fate of the Senate, and thus the fate of President Joe Biden's agenda. So,
and perhaps the world.
I mean, hyperbolic, but also it is. Let's say it would be very, very self-centered and myopic to not think that American high government leadership doesn't have an impact on people who live around the world, specifically the people that were fucking
look at the
bombing.
Last 4 years.
Yeah, or the people who are trying to come here, or any of that. Yes, the way that this turns out is going to have an impact on a lot of people. I wish that wasn't the case, but here we are. Anyway, all of that aside, you'll know how this turns out before we do, probably. My cat is trying to get into the room, as you can hear her scratching on the door. If you are listening to this, probably you will see a poll with the toady. Yes. Dennis, you have a job and a kid, so... and you're also the one who knows.
I can commit to this.
Okay, cool. So watch for that to come out. I've already sent the all of the stuff there. Oh God, she really wants into this room.
She is all about the buttons.
Yes, she is all about the buttons. But you know what to do. Patreon, Facebook, ratings, reviews, telling your friends, all of that. Anything I'm forgetting, everybody?
Not at all.
This is the I forgot to mention this in a Watch Out for Fireballs that I recorded today, but I can say this. One moment. Duckstream. Oh, she is so angry. Oh my God. Duckstream 2020, all told, raised $15,595.75.
Nice.
Yeah. Amazing. Just amazing. Thank you very much, everybody who gave. I have already talked with the person who runs the Transactive Danger Project, and her first words were, "I am speechless again." So, cool. So I've been Kole Ross. You can see my tweets on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Instagram. What's up? At Deck of Wonders.
Cool.
I'm David Maismith. You can find me in 2021.
Yeah.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, I need to open this door.
Release the hounds. I mean, kitties.
Hey, baby.
Yeah. Cool. We're going to talk about the update where it says like both Democrats seem to have locked it.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to.
You don't want to call it?
No, I'm not going to call it. As of right now, the New York Times Needle is saying that it looks very good that they have locked it, but I've been burned before, so yeah. We will see how it comes out. Who has titles?
I have 3.
Okay.
I have the Waffles getting in there.
Oh man, that's so good. Sorry. Okay.
I have the last 2 are both similar things, but I had Peak Michael Caine and Play It Straight as Michael Caine.
Okay. I have 2, but none of them are as good as with the Waffles getting in there. I have When in Carcosa and When the War is Over. Those are both mine. I feel bad for that, but I just talking about quitting Trackmania just when the war is over. Dennis, what you got?
Yeah, so I have 3 as well, although none that I would put in front of the Waffles getting in there. I have the opposite of drunk driving. I have Ignore the Waifus. And I also had Peak Michael Caine.
Okay.
Late entrant.
Okay. Ignore the Waifus is very good, but
yeah, I actually kind of like that.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
I have a big box that can catch on fire and kill you. I have the hi-hat is always on the hi-hat.
The hi-hat is always on what?
The hi-hat. And then in an act of vanity, I have the Waffles getting in there.
The Waffles getting in there, like that has to be it. That's so good.
Yeah,
no contest.
Is it the Waffles getting in there or that Waffles getting in there?
I had it rendered as the, although I'm not sure if, like, I don't know.
Yeah, the Waffles getting in there. Okay.
I mean, I think either is fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with that. Yeah, that seems like a title to me. Dottie,
boom.
It does seem like a title that we would make.
It does. Dottie, where the fuck are you? Oh, come on.
That also seems like a title we would make.
She wanted in here, and I don't think she's in here. I think she went to the spare
She
room.
remembered the work glove.
Oh, wait, no, here she is. Here she is. Cool. Okay. Cool. Now she's
what
not.
we really need to get you is a power glove.
That would terrify her. Oh God, of a work glove, just like a standard, like I'm doing stuff around the house and don't want to bust up my ankles glove. We'll get her. Oh, a power glove. That's a nightmare.
Also, pro tip: if a work glove is keeping you from busting up your ankles, you might be wearing that wrong.
I meant knuckles. I think I said knuckles, and it came through Discord.
Oh, okay, that could be.
Yeah. Although I don't want my ankles getting busted up either.
No.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So this is completely random, but I learned over the weekend that apparently the German word for I think it's for like
Squirrel?
Raccoon?
Nothing.
No, it was like sock is literally like foot glove or something.
Oh yeah, German's all words that are like combinations like that.
Cog is tooth circle.
Yeah.
Nice.
I respect German a lot for that. I'll probably never learn the language, but just it's a very utilitarian approach to neologism, and it respects humanity's let's say capacity for invention. We weren't We weren't born with socks. Like, we need a word for that.
Learning German and like saying sentences in German is like building IKEA furniture. It's like kind of rules for everything. You got to follow rules.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. To be fair, that sounds like Germany.
Yeah. Seems like a real programmer's language.
I see sock as just desocka on leo.org.
Oh, so that probably is a loan word.
Yeah,
right?
I might have it wrong, or maybe it's something like, what is glove? There was one of them.
Glove might be like hanshu, which is like hand shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh shit.
yeah, it is.
Oh shit.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had it backwards then.
Yeah. Warnock just won. Made history as the first black senator elected in Georgia. That's a huge fucking deal.
By what like is in the opponent conceded as
it literally just came through on Apple. Okay. It's okay. Vox. I don't know if there is a concession, but I think that enough networks probably called it. But with the fucking Republican Party saying like, oh no, there's no official way that an election's won until we say it is. And Democrats can't win elections, so
that's nice to hear. It is not over.
Yeah.
So as a side note, the whole thing in Pennsylvania with them like refusing to seat the senator, that's just like, well, what's now become normal, like them saying like, oh, them's elections though. That's not really news, right?
I don't know.
I also think that like I hate to say this, a Philadelphia state senator is like probably just a state party being cantankerous without being able to affect an awful lot as of right now. I think that ultimately it's going to be seated by the election. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Republicans dragging their feet in the face of change is kind of the party thing now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go and probably
also.
Oh, go ahead.
Old white people in general doing that.
Yes. Yeah. Blah.
Anyone else just like? Sorry. I'll not talk at length much longer. But there was like a Reddit post that was showing like how graphics like the 2020 election, and it's like males and white people, no problem with Trump as a whole in the country.
No.
Like,
if you look at the map of like states Trump would have won if only white dudes voted, it's fucking grim.
Yeah.
It's really it's pretty bad. Like the only people keeping us out of the abyss are like women and people of color. So thank you, women and people of color.
Isn't it nice to be privileged enough to just sabotage the country?
Yeah, just I have a white male age 25 to 49. They've got to cater to me. Nuts and gum together at last. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
I heard sorry, one more final story. When the story yesterday about the person who were proud, I like.
But you're cutting out. I'm really sorry. What was that?
When the story came out where it's like the one guy from the Proud Boys getting arrested yesterday in DC, I immediately asked, oh, was it the one non-white guy?
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, tomorrow's going to be a fucking nightmare. People who are hearing this will know how it turned out. If you're in a fucking smoking bunker, then you know. All right. Cool. Well, I'm going to go and pay too much attention to these Georgia election returns.
I'm going to go pick a car skin in Trackmania.
Yeah.
I feel like one of those I'm genuinely is more excited healthy. About it.
Probably.
All right, play Rust. I mean, nothing.
Compulsive. Take care, you guys.
See you.
Peace, Joe.
Hanging out.